Hello, thank you for your interest in learning more about TNMP's residential and hard-to-reach standard offer programs. This information session or recording is for HVAC contractors interested in participating in the 2024 residential and hard-to-reach standard offer programs. My name is Morgan Nielsen. I am the Energy Efficiency Program Manager for TNMP for both of these programs and a few others as well. This presentation will cover the basics of working within the programs, and feel free to reach out to me at any point to learn more about these programs. This is an information session re-recorded for clarity, so no one has to hear me drinking water or having door slams in the background. If you have any questions about these programs after finishing this recording, please reach out to myself, Morgan Nielsen, via my office phone, email, or you can reach out to Rob Lovenguth, the program administrator for these programs. This information session will cover the reasons for why TNMP has these programs, basics about the programs, and then the process of working in these programs. Will be followed up with a timeline and next steps to work within the programs. As part of deregulation of the electric utility industry, back in 1999, legislation was passed that required all Texas utility companies to begin implementing energy efficiency programs. Under these new rules, they were developed to increase the level of energy efficiency throughout Texas and were designed to seek and achieve cost-effective reductions in energy consumption as well as peak demand. For these programs, there's a small charge on everyone's electric bill based on a kWh rate that goes to pay for these cost-effective energy efficiency programs. An easy way to remember this is that these programs are state-mandated, ratepayer-funded programs. These programs are regulated by the PUC, or Public Utility Commission, and are evaluated by a third-party entity hired by the PUC, the EMV team, or Evaluation, Measurement, and Verification team. All of the possible measures that can be installed in these programs, or other programs for that matter, can be found within the Technical Reference Manual. As of today, we are up to version 10.0. It is updated on an annual basis, usually comes out in around November. So for 2024, we will be using the version 11 of the TRM. Specifically for both of these programs, RES and Hard to Reach Standard Offer programs, the main volume to be looking at for the TRM is volume 2. It contains all of the residential measures. Both of these programs are for residential customers in pre-existing homes, and they provide incentives to project sponsors, or in this case HVAC contractors, for the installation of eligible measures. Incentives are based on the calculated energy and demand savings found within the Technical Reference Manual. The Hard to Reach program is pretty much the exact same as the Residential Standard Offer program, but it's for low-income customers. It provides higher incentives for HVAC contractors to provide their services at an even lower rate, as well as additional measures that can be installed, as well as some additional higher savings associated with the installation of some measures. Customers within the Hard to Reach program can be verified as low income either via geographic qualification, through participation in another low income program, or via their income. For 2024, we're expecting a cap of about 20 project sponsors within the RES HTR programs, hoping to go and have half of which to be HVAC contractors. One point to note at this point is that the RES and HTR programs are just two of a larger portfolio of programs. If any HVAC contractor is interested in working on the commercial side of our programs, please do reach out to me and I can connect you with the relevant program manager. Project sponsors can work anywhere within our service territory, and in TNMP's case, our service territory is rather spread out. TNMP's service territory is rather spread out as well as sporadic. We have pockets of service territory up in North as well as in Central Texas around the DFW Metroplex as well as just north of Waco. We have service territory down near the Gulf of Mexico, just south of Houston in Brazoria as well as in Galveston counties. And then over in West Texas, we have service territory located around the cities of Pecos and Fort Stockton. A project sponsor's responsibility revolve around finding projects, working with the customers, both explaining the program as well as the process of completing projects, then completing those projects, and submitting all of the required information to the system. Eligible projects must meet certain guidelines, including, one, they need to be a TNMP residential customer. The home must be a pre-existing home, no new construction. The measures need to be installed based on TRM requirements, and then the measures that are planned to be installed must not have been installed or received incentives through the program within the last 10 years. An AC unit that was installed in 2015 runs into some malfunctions and in 2020 wants to be installed again and still receive incentives, unfortunately, that would be an ineligible project. For marketing within the program, the main requirement for project sponsors is to be mentioning to customers that they are participating in the program and that TNMP is providing you, the project sponsor / contractor, incentives for the measures / equipment installed, as well as a few other points of information. You don't actually need to market your participation within the program, but do please feel free to do so. If you do, any marketing material that mentions the program must be submitted and pre-approved before use within the program. Any material that is used before pre-approval that mentions the program, project sponsors may be put on corrective action. TNMP has created a marketing piece / educational flyer that is a required leave behind, but is also proven helpful in both explaining the program as well as providing a sense of legitimacy to the project sponsor. Again, you are not required to actually market the program. Feel free to work as normal and then just let people know on why there's a reduction in the price of the units to be installed, but it may also help with being able to get projects completed as well if you're marketing the program. Beyond this, we do require that any project sponsor that plans to be moving, we do need to know where project sponsors are working on a weekly basis so we can inform internal teams so there's no cause for concern if a customer calls and wants to verify if a project sponsor is actually working in the program. So to complete work properly requires providing to the customer the host customer agreement form before any work starts. This form informs customers of all of their rights as well as disclosures required by the PUC and customer protection provisions. After work is completed, the customer acknowledgement form needs to be signed by both the project sponsor as well as the customer. It affirms that the project is completed as described by the host customer agreement form and the project was completed to the customer's satisfaction. These two pieces of documentation, as well as photos of other key points of information about the measures that are going to be installed, need to be uploaded to P3 and submitted. If the project is within the Hard to Reach program, there is one additional form that does need to be filled out by the customer. It's the low income verification form. This verifies that the customer is indeed low income or income qualified, and sometimes additional documentation does need to be provided to the project sponsor from the customer verifying this information is correct. Specifically for if they participate in another low income program or if they are verifying their qualification via their income. One important point that we do want to emphasize is any projects that are completed, project sponsors need to let customers know that they may be, it's important, completing a project is to inform customers of possible post-inspection. It is important to ensure that people understand that they may receive a call either from TNMP program staff or the EMV team to verify the information, or both for that matter. When customers know that they may receive a call for a post-inspection, everything goes a lot smoother for both of us. Full completion of a project requires submitting all required photo documentation and paperwork before we will review it. Please remember to review everything twice and then submit once. We do complete desk reviews on many of the projects. To be a successful project sponsor and to be able to work continuously within the program year after year, we hope project sponsors will be able to submit approximately about $25,000 worth of projects or incentives. For HVAC contractors, that would be the equivalent of about 25 to 50 unit replacements within 1 year, usually between January and September. Contractors that are focused primarily outside of TNMP service territory, but there's just a sliver of overlap, may feel it's better to work with Upload Energy or with another project sponsor, as that will allow you to work in multiple programs. I will be providing a brief overview of working through Upload Energy later on. They are our HVAC aggregator. One last point for this slide is that while project sponsors are working within the TNMP program, the actual participation agreement is actually signed by Frontier Energy, the program administrator, and payment is actually received from Frontier Energy as well. TNMP will continue with the first come, first served, no reservation program design for both the RES and HTR programs. However, to help ensure that the budget doesn't decrease too fast and you're unable to submit projects, we cap each project sponsor at 20% of the program budget, incentive budget, to ensure that all project sponsors, so that one project sponsor doesn't take up the entire budget. And also, in order to increase HVAC contractors' interest in working within the program, given the first come, first served nature of the program, TNMP is also reserving funds until September specifically for HVAC contractors in case the budget is fully consumed earlier than expected. This is to ensure that any project that is completed but not yet submitted is still able to receive incentives. We pay project sponsors / contractors, not customers. That said, participants do need to inform customers that they are receiving incentives for the measures that are installed. This is, of course, noted within the host customer agreement form. If a subcontractor is used, incentives are sent as normal to this project sponsor. Neither TNMP nor Frontier will have a relationship with subcontractors. Project sponsors need to affirm that each subcontractor meets all of the licensing and insurance requirements of the program that is applicable to the work that is being performed. They must also be able to be prepared to provide that documentation to that effect upon request by program staff. While Volume 2 of the TRM does show all of the measures that can technically be installed within the programs, we wanted to provide a list of the most applicable measures for most HVAC contractors: HVAC replacements, possible ceiling insulation, water heater replacements, if the contractor has a plumbing side, as well as smart thermostats and duct efficiency or duct sealing. To provide an idea of what an HVAC contractor could expect to be receiving in the 2024 program year, We have provided this incentive rates table that is up to date for the 2023 program year. Incentives and savings are based primarily on the efficiency of the new system as well as the capacity as well. Things can change a little bit if a system is going to be upsized or downsized. If you have any questions on those, please do reach out to me directly. Also want to go and take a point this time to go and point out to everyone that there are higher savings and therefore higher incentives for the replacement of AC and electric furnaces getting switched out for heat pumps. For 2023, the minimum efficiencies were 15.2, 9.8, and 7.5 respectively for SEER2, EER2, and HSPF2. Based on draft changes of the Technical Reference Manual, the new minimums will be increasing. For SEER2, actually it won't be, it'll stay at the 15.2, but for EER2, as of right now, it will be increasing from 9.8 to 10.8, and then for HSPF2, it will be going from 7.5 to 7.8. As of right now, we are expecting the incentive budget for the residential standard offer program to be $1.3 million, while the hard to reach program to be $375,000. These may change, and an update will be provided during the kickoff in early November. Working in the program directly requires working through the P3 database. This is a screenshot of the program database so that everyone can get an idea of what you and your staff will have access to when creating, reviewing, and submitting a project. Information on what you plan to install as well as associated incentives can be seen and recalculated for different scenarios. You can upload photos, PDFs, or entire zip folders, depending on file size of course, whichever your team finds easiest to work with. The basic process to create a project in P3 first revolves around deciding which is the relevant program to be utilizing and then entering the home's basic information. Once that is done, you move a project forward and that creates a project. From there, you are able to enter in additional information about the measures that you plan to install to get an idea on the incentives that would possibly be available for certain scenarios. So you can go and determine what the incentive change would be from installing a 15.2 SEER2 system versus a 16.2 SEER2 system. Once a project has then been completed, all of the required information needs to be uploaded both for the home as well as the measures to be installed into the system. Once all of that has been submitted, program staff will review the project and will possibly post-inspect it. All of this will occur within at least 45 days as long as no issues are found. We do try to go and move a project once it has been submitted to the approved and then paid status within 2 weeks. That's our goal. Sometimes it takes a bit longer depending on the number of projects that are submitted at one time. Also, to go into just a little bit more detail on the actual statuses of the projects within P3, when you decide to start a project, it first starts within the created status, and then from there, once you have entered in the basic information about the home as well as which measures that you're thinking about installing, you move the project forward, and at that point it could get flagged if any work has been completed on that home previously, whether or not it's those measures. Assuming everything looks good, it will be moved forward and into the work completion pending status. It's at that point that you're able to enter in information about each measure that you plan to install and are able to forecast what the incentives would be available. Once that's all done and the project has actually been completed and all the info has been uploaded, you move a project to the submitted status. And it is at that point that program staff will usually start looking at a project. Once it has been reviewed and inspections have been completed, the project is moved to the approved status. And then from there, it is usually moved along to the accounting team internally, and payment is received, assuming electronic checking is utilized, within 1 week or so. One to 2 weeks, we should say. As stated earlier, contractors can submit work either directly in the program or through Upload Energy. They are the HVAC aggregator that works within the program. They are able to handle the administrative side of program participation so that project sponsors / contractors are able to focus on completing projects themselves. Upload Energy utilizes an app-based form of submission and allows everything to be completed electronically, including customer signatures. As Upload Energy is able to handle the administrative side as well as providing software support, they do retain a certain percentage of the incentives. At this time, it is 25% of the incentives, but it may vary depending on changes to the program for 2024. Before registration is complete, Upload Energy would provide any updates to HVAC contractors interested in working through Upload. Upload Energy does receive payment from Frontier Energy, and then Upload Energy sends payment to the HVAC contractors. If interested, you feel free to go and register via their website, as you're unable to go and register via this recording, unfortunately, or feel free to give Butler Nooner a call or send him an email. Here's a screenshot of Upload Energy's app-based process for submitting projects. We want to go and provide you an idea of what it looks like on what you would have access to when submitting projects through Upload Energy. Both the RES and Hard to Reach standard offer programs run on an annual cycle, and for the 2024 program year, the kickoff will be occurring November 7th. We will be informing all interested applicants about 3 weeks beforehand. I'll be sending out an email. Right after the kickoff starts, or ends I should say, the application window will open. It'll be open for 2 weeks, so all applicants need to submit their applications within those 2 weeks. Program staff will take 1 to 2 weeks to review all applications, call references, make sure everything looks good, and then we will either approve an applicant outright. We may also deny them, or if we're on the fence, so to speak, we may pre-approve them and then ask to be able to complete an interview to learn more about the the potential applicant. Assuming all goes well, final approval or denial will at least be sent by December 6th, and the program start date will be in early January. As of right now, we're hoping for January 3rd, but things may it may take a little bit to go and get the program database working correctly, and so that is just an idea as of right now. It may be in mid-January, but it won't be into February or so. The program itself ends November 30th, but we want to ensure that all projects are completed and submitted by the end of October, so program staff have at least a month to review and possibly inspect projects. The budgets usually get spent a little bit differently, both because the incentive budgets are quite a bit different in size. The RES program usually gets depleted in September-October timeframe. As we have $1.3 million for the 2023 year, we still have incentives, and as of right now, we're forecasting to have the same incentive budget, so you can kind of expect budget depletion to be occurring at about that point. As the Hard to Reach program has both a smaller budget as well as we provide higher incentives, that program gets spent quite a bit quicker, usually by late May, but in this year we went into July actually before the budget was spent in its entirety. So if you've gotten to this point and you're still interested in working in programs, the next steps will be, one, to keep an eye out for the kickoff notification that will be sent out 3 weeks prior to the actual kickoff. If you have not already reached out to me, Morgan Nielsen, then please send me an email and ask to be included on that notification list. The next point would be to determine whether or not you want to be working directly in the program or to be working through Upload Energy. Would definitely still recommend at least attending the kickoff to go and hear a little bit more about any of the changes that were solidified for the 2024 program year. As of this recording, it's still before September 26th, so if anyone is interested in learning more about energy efficiency, there is an energy efficiency implementation plan meeting that is scheduled via the PUC, and the link provided will allow you to attend that meeting virtually. If you do end up missing the meeting, this link will also be available to allow you to view a recording of the link as well. In addition, beyond those, please do feel free to go and review the Technical Reference Manual, Volume 2, and then do keep in mind that the updated version, version 11, will be available in early November. This concludes the information session. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn a little bit more about TNMP's residential and hard-to-reach standard offer programs. If you have any questions or are interested in applying for the program for 2024, please do reach out to me via my email. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.